If you're working in a fast-paced industry, whether it's sports, media, finance, or anything that demands a lot of your time, it can feel like work takes over your entire life. I've definitely struggled with that, and today I want to have a real conversation about how I balance work and life while working in professional sports. Now, I'll be honest, there were times when I felt completely overwhelmed, but through trial and error, I found ways to manage my career without sacrificing my personal well-being. So if you're struggling with balance, this video is for you. Make sure to stick around because I'll be sharing practical strategies that you can implement today. Let's get into it. The reality of high-stress careers are there's long hours, constant deadlines, and unpredictable schedules. Work can often spill into your personal time, and there's always this pressure to be on. I have dealt with burnout several times since working in professional sports. Mind you, I'm going into my third season with the Ravens, so this will be my fourth season total. 4 years that I'm going into, and I've dealt with burnout, honestly, every year. First, there's training camp. Players in football side typically do 6 days on, 1 day off. Now, if the 1 day off falls during the work week, I still have to go in, so I don't necessarily have that 1 day off. And that can just become overwhelming, and it really sucks because training camp is before the season even really kicks into overdrive. I've also dealt with burnout specifically here in Baltimore. The last 2 seasons, we've had really late buys. So you're having to go an entire season without a true break. And we've even had like 3 games in a week and a half. And it's easy to quickly fall into that burnout mode. Especially as an intern in my first year here in Baltimore, I would put work over everything. As an intern, I felt like I had to because I feel like I had to earn my stripes, which is true in a sense, but I did not have to go as overboard as I was going. In my first year here, still wanting to prove myself because I was in a new environment, I was definitely putting work over everything. Like the moments that I had to hang out with people, I wouldn't do it because I had to do something for work. And I just was very terrible at prioritizing my work life and my personal life. Realizing I had to make a change to avoid feeling drained 24/7. I had a conversation with one of my coworkers and he asked me, like, why are you always at work? Like, you never take a day off. And even when I'm sick, I honestly go in. So, I'll wear like a mask or whatever, but I still go in. And I told him, well, if I'm not at work, I'll just be at home doing nothing. And so I just would rather feel busy. He was like, Ashley, no, like laying on the couch is okay. And that's when it clicked for me. Burnout isn't a badge of honor. It's a warning sign. Also, remember, work isn't and shouldn't be your whole identity. Yes, I work for a professional sports team. Yes, this channel is about me working for a professional sports team, but off camera, outside of the facility, outside of the stadium, outside of me traveling to do things for work, it is not my identity. I love Korean dramas, Korean movies. I love language learning. I love traveling. I love hiking. I love talking with my nieces. I love flowers. There's so many things that make up my identity. So now that we've talked about why balance can be difficult, let's get into how I personally manage it. First is set boundaries between work and personal life. This in so many words means learn when to log off and stick to it. When I'm out of work, I have my work phone. I put my work phone on Do Not Disturb, and the only notifications that come through on my phone when I'm in Do Not Disturb are Slack messages, and that's just in case something happens and I'm being mentioned and I want to be able to see it. Also important to communicate expectations with your team about response times. And last but not least in this section, no is a complete sentence. Don't overcommit to work at the expense of your well-being. Repeat after me. No is a complete sentence. Second is time blocking and scheduling. So when I'm at work and I'm doing the things that I do for work. When I'm at home, however, I definitely batch my tasks to be more productive. Let's just say I'm cleaning. When I'm at home, I set an alarm for 30 minutes. That way I'm not taking 2 days to clean my kitchen or 2 days to clean my living room. I have 30 minutes from start to finish to clean this area of my apartment. And then I go on. That way I'm being more productive. That way I don't feel like I can just sit down on the couch and put my feet up. Now, if I do finish cleaning an area faster than the alarm that I set, I do sit down, put my feet up till the clock runs out. And then once the clock runs out, I set another alarm to do something else. Another thing that's been very important for me is creating focus versus flex time in my day. So focus is I'm editing a YouTube video or editing a TikTok. I am doing my actual work for my jobs. And then the flex time is the moments where I need to get up, just go sit in my car, listen to music, or walk around the facility or something like that. I give myself permission to go to my car for 10 minutes, maybe make a phone call, sometimes close my eyes so that I'm able to better make it through my day. Third thing I do, schedule personal time like they are meetings because it's just as important. I have in my phone obviously like therapy, I have when to pay like bills, I have when to call people so that I'm reminded of calling them. I make sure that I know everything because something can slip through the cracks and I don't want things in my personal life to suffer because of my professional life. Third is prioritizing tasks with the 80-20 rule. 20% of your work produces 80% of the results. You need to focus on what moves the needle. Next is don't get caught up in busy work that doesn't actually help you grow. I know that's an easy thing to do, but I look at it kind of like the dog photographers where they put their focus here, focus here. Like that's what I have to sometimes remind myself. Busy work is just that, it's busy work. If you feel like you're always working but not making progress, it's time to reevaluate where your energy is going. Now, when it comes to non-negotiable self-care habits, first you need to understand why taking care of yourself makes you a better professional. And I can easily sum that up as it's impossible to pour from an empty cup. My personal self-care habits include skincare, meditation. I love singing around my house. I'm going to start back working out, so that will be one of my self-care things. This one is honestly the most important one in my opinion. It's treating rest as productive because it is. The importance of hobbies and passion projects. Work, what you do for work should not be your entire identity. I technically have 2 jobs. Both of them are in social media. One is for a sports team. Another is for a wedding hair and makeup company. Both still social media. So my life is very much social media. But honestly, I'm on social media so much for work that there's moments where I'm just like, I have to log out of the apps. I don't log out, but I close the apps. I close the apps. I don't get on it for a few days for personal reasons. I just need a break from all the fast information, honestly, sometimes the misinformation, things like that. Now, outside of work, to stay balanced, I do content creation, I travel, I socialize, mainly on the phone because I'm pretty much away from my family and friends. I'm just creating life outside of what it is that I do, and I'm finding peace and happiness in this place that I'm in right now. It's important to find things that fuel you outside of your job. Managing stress and avoiding burnout. First, recognize the early signs of burnout. And those are chronic fatigue, insomnia, increased irritability, and difficulty concentrating. When I need to reset, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I honestly go into the quiet. I'm quiet, I don't say much to anybody. I will sometimes turn on music, but I won't be saying much of anything. Honestly, I won't really be listening to much of anything either. And remember, small changes can make a big difference. So let's just say I'm feeling overwhelmed and I turn on, honestly, and it matters what you're listening to. If you're listening to some low vibrational, I can't play any music, but let's just say No shade. If you're listening to Tweaker by Jello, I don't think that's gonna uplift your mood. So let's listen to Calm and Patient by Janae Aiko. Sometimes you have to fake it until you make it. Maintaining friendships and relationships while working a lot. The challenge of making time for people. I rely on text a lot. I actually really don't like texting though. It's honestly one of my least favorite things to do, but I will text people. Sometimes I text people and I forget to hit send. I do that a lot. It's because I'm typing so fast and then I think I hit send, but it just didn't go through. But I've been getting better about clicking send and waiting for it to say delivered. In the moments where I can, I do FaceTime or call people. But because I know that I don't talk to people that often, I know that if I call someone, we're gonna be on the phone for at least 30 minutes, and that is for me a lot of time. So I make sure that when I call whoever I'm calling, I have time to not feeling rushed off the phone. And honestly, I think scheduling friend dates, just like their work meetings, sometimes plans that are not saved in my phone just don't happen. I do write on my iPad, like my to-do list, but sometimes I am not in a position to look at my to-do list on my iPad because I don't have good notes on my phone. So it's only on my iPad. So if I'm doing something and I'm like, dang, I should have took a picture of my to-do list on my iPad, and something may get missed. So scheduling friend dates, just like work dates, are beneficial for someone like me. Navigating work-life integration versus separation. Some people blend their personal and work lives. I honestly prefer balance. I set aside intentional time for both. I try not to bring work home because when I'm home, I just want to be home. But there are moments where I do have to bring work home for whatever reason. And I make sure that once I'm done with this, then I'm going to overly dedicate my personal time to myself. Don't want to get into zodiac signs, but I am a super Libra. The girls thrive on balance. And something else that I have been working on for the last year is being present in whatever moment you're in. I am someone, I've been like this my entire life. I hate waiting on people. I hate waiting to get somewhere. It's never been about the journey for me. Where's the destination? And honestly, I feel like I've been deprived of so many special moments because of how I am. Like I've literally, when I was younger, I've stolen, and I say stolen because in a legal sense, it's stealing. I've gotten behind the wheel of a car multiple times just because I was tired of being where I was. Couldn't drive. One time my grandmother and I went back to her house and she told me she would be back in like 5 minutes. And I don't know how old I was. I wasn't a teen yet. I was probably under 10. And the five minutes to like a 9-year-old is like an hour. I crawled over to that driver's seat and I put that car in drive and I drove straight into the garage. When I tell you she tore my backside up, deservedly so. Another time, my great-grandparents had a restaurant. My brother and my brother kind of like tricked me and manipulated me into doing it, honestly. We wanted to go somewhere. We were tired of being at the restaurant and he told me to get in the driver's seat. I put that thing in reverse. I did not turn the wheel, put it in drive and went smack into the side of the building. But I can drive now, okay? And I'm not stealing cars now. But I say all that to say, be present in whatever moment that you're in. Be exactly where your feet are. Another very relevant thing is I moved into this apartment and because the owner of the building or whatever, the owner of this like whole complex is friends of my employer. So upon signing the lease, you can choose like a lower deposit or 3% or something like that off your rent. In my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm only gonna be here a year. So I did the deposit instead of the 3% off the rent because I did the math and I was like, oh, well, I would be saving more money on the deposit. I am going on, I think I've lived in this apartment now 2 years. 2 years. Why was I planning to no longer live here when I literally just got here? Be in the present moment. Trust me on this. Avoiding guilt about taking breaks. We're conditioned to always be grinding, but taking time for yourself is necessary. There's a mantra that I honestly think I made up myself that I live by is every dollar that I make is not hard earned. In fact, most of the money that I earn is easy earned money. Not always grinding. Another story. My grandmother owned a restaurant, and I remember like she wanted me to take orders and wash dishes and all the things. And I looked at her and I said, I am a manager, okay? I'm not doing that. The people at the top make the most money and they seem to do the least amount of work. Yes, you obviously have to get there, but like I said, I ain't never liked the journey. I like the destination. I'm sick. Also, you don't need to earn rest. You deserve it. Life is tough. I actually was just watching Raising Kanan, and I think it was Uncle Lou, who I met in real life, Malcolm Mays, love him down. He said exiting from life has to be easy because living is hard. Listen to me when I say you deserve rest. Honestly, I think because I've never been it's the journey that matters person, get me to the destination, I was treating this as something that it wasn't. I want to enjoy my time here, and when I sat back and realized there's so much that I'm missing out on, I knew I had to prioritize my personal time. So when someone else points out to me, hey, maybe you should like take a day, I'm like, okay, well, let's reassess. What does productivity and personal time look like to me? And honestly, I had to Google like what that looked like. I eventually got my answer, and now I'm able to like have a personal life that is completely separate to my work life. If you're struggling with this, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear how you're managing your work-life balance. And for a quick recap of the biggest takeaways, first, set boundaries to protect your time. Second is to structure your schedule for balance. Prioritize self-care and hobbies. Maintain relationships and avoid burnout. No one has perfect balance. It's a constant work in progress. The goal isn't to do everything, it's to do what's important. So be kind to yourself while you're figuring it out. I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you're struggling with when it comes to balancing work and life? Drop it in the comments and let's talk about it. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss more content on career growth, personal development, and navigating life in a high-paced industry.